Otaku, and all the Japanese words learned from little you.
Hi, today's video is going to be the hardest video I've learned.
So I'm Smarty MC, and this is Smarter Than Trauma Presents. Well, we forgot what we were going to title this, but basically this is how I remove the trauma of the board of directors. Basically trying to blame the homeless people in the park for the thieving in the building and anything that goes on in the building. You see a cigarette on the stairwell. That's the homeless people. I'm thinking, thanks for bringing my attention to the deluge of homeless near us in the park when really they're just one person. But because they repeatedly made fun of homeless in Uptown, because they blamed them for things that had made no sense, because they literally said the homeless people were allowing people to have access in the building when this access to the building thing has been such a problem from the get-go. This is one reason why I joined the board, and so on and so forth. My attention was drawn to the person with the bear sack, who I never met until they moved to the sidewalk, where I took a photo, and because I was not into non-consent photo, it dawned on me I wanted to take a reminder, so if I saw him there the next day, the photograph remembers the way I remember stuff. I have to physically squeeze the phone and make the conscious effort to take that photo. Remember how photos are a trigger because someone threatened me with photography that they were going to throw all over the internet. Really? What? Okay, first of all, that type of defense is disgusting and shows you are mentally ill. How dare you try to use my sense of decency when we live in a world where people get completely made fun of. You're creating targets, and if you enjoy that stuff, there's something wrong with you. Okay, let's move on. So anyway, my attention was brought to the gentleman who had been homeless for a while and had an incredible story of survival. I, of course, asked him, what are the 5 things you want the world to know about what it's like to be homeless, the community that you have created? And he's like, I'm not homeless. I'm trying to get back into truck driving. Well, he's living in a transient situation where he's now dependent on others or doesn't have resources at his fingertips. So to me, that's homeless. But in his mind and spirit, he was always ready to get back to his life. So the fundraiser created was the first thing that I wrote. It's called $1 for a Truck, and it allows me to share the importance of elevating those voices we feel are most vulnerable, and certainly not blaming them for the thieving in the mailroom. So just recently, they decided to build the room up because they found out that people were crawling above the mailroom to get into the packages, So that was a solution that worked. But to get there, oh my goodness, is it worth it? And that goes back to education, special education. Because is it worth it with these parents, with these teachers? I'll let the teachers say it. To give those kids an A and have those parents not complain was worth it. And it wasn't until the board of directors, the intensity, severity, and frequency of how they made fun of people and blamed the people in the park for everything going wrong in the building, I was outraged. So my focus and my ability to stick with somebody that had obvious trauma longer was all because of them. Otherwise, I would never been able to physically take it. They were throwing a lot at me, and why I'm going to explain and give it back to them. My writing, my words. And don't change the narrative, because clearly the vote is the issue. And if the vote is the issue, I'm not going to be triggering from that all the time. That's too important to me, because I voted for this principal who was data-driven when Lincoln Park got a new administration who changed the grading scale to make it easier. What's wrong with doing things the hard way, the right way?
Pile of trash because I could carry
So
it
this is my math for the day, and I'm going to explain the videos now. So one thing I've noticed with companies, specifically Northwestern Memorial Hospital and some other smaller businesses, is that they change their policies or all of a sudden change their narrative to protect themselves and avoid questions, which is what the predator said. When I say predator, I'm going to talk about all the predators. We're just going to call them the predator, but all of the predatory things said will be said by the predator. So I'm not identifying anyone specifically, but they can identify themselves if they want. So the message is to stay away from me. So this video, the gray is the written part from the property manager because he doesn't read all the tickets. So I didn't get all of it because I'm not great with tech and my nerves are up. But you can tell by the video and not being able to hold the camera, and the later stuff, which isn't that great. It gets better because I can focus, and that's not attention. That's inability to control the biological increase and stuff like that. So I'm going to use some old videos. And so the monthly board meetings used to be often, and then they changed them. So for a while, they just didn't know, and that might be fair. But that's the thing again. I said, that's really great. Bravo. Good job doing that. At least this was well done. And that reminds me, in the survey, I said, yes, the one thing that is reliable is he's at every meeting, and the meeting schedule was given in advance, which I like. But the rest of the survey, so what happened to the other survey? They restricted or denied me the chance to do another survey for the following year. And I want to know, do you guys get my answers? Because I was honest. That's a place that I wrote in, and I want all my writing samples. That's it. All the writing samples. There's so many that I've lost throughout technology. So many that are missing because they've deleted things and whatever. And things that, I don't know, maybe will pop up again. Oh well, we'll see. Because like I said, I put it all out there because it's not me, it's them. So I can look at it three-dimensionally and be like, all right, this is how we end this type of stuff moving forward. We don't let them get away with it, and we let them know, hey, there's a chance the survivor victim patient's going to talk about it and doesn't care what others think. And we're at that point. You can mock me, you can make fun. I have gone through all the humiliations and shame. So, all right. I think the clients I worked with have made me more resilient. Out of 18, this is the one that's consented. And quite frankly, it is hard to work with anyone when they do have a substance abuse problem. I will now share my observations in homeless advocacy because they are the first one that allowed me to talk. And it wasn't until the board of directors, the intensity, severity, and frequency of how they made fun of people and blamed the people in the park for everything going wrong in the building, I was outraged. So my focus and my ability to stick with somebody that had obvious trauma longer was all because of them. Otherwise, I would never been able to physically take it. They were throwing a lot at me, and why I'm going to explain and give it back to them. My writing, my words. Clearly, the vote is the issue. And if the vote is the issue, I'm not going to be triggering from that all the time. That's too important to me. Because I voted for this principal who was data-driven when Lincoln Park got a new administration who changed the grading scale to make it easier. What's wrong with doing things the hard way, the right way? Previous generations could tell us about it if we were willing to listen. All right. Thank you. Walking the same path. This is Smarty MC with Smarter Than Trauma Presents. Season with thinking, how do I organize? And I did so around homeless advocacy after the board of directors made fun. For episode 1. I'm going to be here for a while only because my voice is great and I want to discriminate between when I got my voice back. It was always October there. 19th, I was doing 2022 when 2 people asked me a question. The focal point on October 17th was during the man 2 in the appointments, park. And that's at 9 a.m., one at 4 p.m. And my endless gratitude. Advocacy Thank you, because I was aware, awake, and with consent trauma and survivors. I let my voice I have a go successful while I listened for the first time. He's looking to drive a truck. A lot of practice. So let's give him. So the question is to those doctors: do you have a problem with it?
Because I'm going to share it publicly now.
Thank
and
you.
so
And
I
if you
think
want to help
it's a wider
me,
population pool with people that are not insanely greedy and that aren't here to, just do whatever's easiest.
Then why don't you help
for the
this
homeless
person
advocacy
first?
or
The stories
don't have to worry.
that
I think
I'm
you can
also
honestly
free up some
my
time
voice is
because I was
fine.
doing medical advocacy, which is a lot.
And the message hasn't changed. You need advocacy because you play fast and loose with the facts.
And my Northwestern Transitional
That's
Services,
so that people can make good
you could have done
decisions.
better.
If you lie to them,
Thank you.
I can't vote board of directors in the building group. That's the problem with that.